get started. We'll go over. We're getting some juicy stuff here. All right, what's up, guys? We are here with Maddie, owner of DMV Weddings and Events. Maddie, thank you for being here. How are you feeling?
Course. I'm happy to be here. I'm very excited.
So, when did you start your business?
So I've been doing weddings in the wedding world since 2017 when I got married.
And your wedding was the first event you kind of put together? Or?
Yeah, so my mom got married, and I helped a lot with the planning process for her wedding, and my wedding. And then I had some friends who got engaged at the same time as my husband and I got engaged. And it had been a little while now since my wedding. And I was like, Alana, what are you doing? Like, are you going to get married? And then she was like, I don't know. It's like a lot. I don't want to plan a wedding. And I was like, well, do you just want me to do it? And she was like, yes, I have literally just been waiting for someone to offer to plan my wedding. And that's what I want. And so I did it, and I coordinated her wedding, and I kind of used that as my, do I feel comfortable making people pay me money for this? And I booked my first client at her wedding. Yep. And her wedding had 3 flips, which
Jeez.
like I didn't realize at the time. I was brand new. I didn't realize at the time like how completely bananas 3 flips is.
Yeah.
And so honestly, I feel like the rest of my career has been like,
You like the hardest event at the beginning, and now it's like it's a breeze.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my hardest event that I made $0 on because I did it for my friend.
That's interesting. As a DJ, I feel like we started doing events through family, backyard things, but it's interesting to hear as a planner how that start looks.
Yeah, and I think everyone's start is different, because I kind of like fell into it, and it just became a thing for me. And then once I started really doing it more consistently, that's when I kind of like got my LLC and got business insurance and, did the things that like you're supposed to do as a business owner, get your own bank account for your business, blah, blah, blah. Some people go into this like trying to be underneath someone and learn for that purpose, but I did all of it completely on my own. So, I just made it up as I went along.
Yeah. And so where you're at now, obviously you do many weddings a year. How do you feel with it now? Like, do you feel like you're in a good groove?
Yeah, so I have gotten to the point now where I have to cap myself and have to start turning away weddings, which is like really difficult for me. But I have 2 little kids, and I still work a full-time job on top of this full-time job and on top of the full-time job of being a mom. So I do have to cap myself just so I can make sure that I'm like present in my kids' lives and, giving everyone the best experience that I can. Yeah. So I do about like 20 to 25 weddings a year, depending on how they're spread out.
Okay. So I'm really like excited about this conversation because I do a lot of weddings too, but I do not see a lot of other DJs perform.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I have the same thing with coordinators and planners and stuff. It's like, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I feel like what I'm doing is the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing I think about too. It's like, I just know what I'm doing, and I try to do everything I do at the best level that I can in terms of presentation, in terms of how I present myself, in terms of keeping music fun, new and exciting, not playing, Earth, Wind, and Fire every time, what I mean? But, all right, so let's talk about, the process, what that looks like for you. So a bride reaches out, and what makes you feel like this is a good fit, and what have been situations where you're like, maybe that's not a good fit?
So I have learned when I was in the early stages of my career, I kind of like, I don't want to say I hid my pricing, but I didn't like have it very front. And so then I would unfortunately like waste my time, because people, it's a weird industry, planning and coordinating. There's like such a vast difference between like price ranges. Some people are like way out here and some people are way down here, and I try to be like, you know, at a reasonable place. But for some people it's completely like out of their stratosphere, which is fine. It is sort of a luxury.
Definitely.
Especially for someone who's been in the business a while, really knows what they're doing, has good connections. You know, you have to sort of pay for that. But I used to, you know, have meetings and then it would be like, oh, you're actually way too expensive for me. So now I have started, I put my pricing for, first thing, it's on my website. You can see my price ranges. You can see that it's like all customized packages. So it's hard to say this is exactly going to be what you pay, but I give like, this is kind of like
ballpark,
what you should plan for. And then in my email, so like if someone inquires with me, in the response that I send, I say, you know, like, yes, I'm available on your date, blah, blah, blah. Congratulations. Super excited for you. I usually do a Google Meet so we can make sure that we like vibe. And these are, you know, the price ranges that I'm usually in. If you're comfortable with that, let's plan a meeting. So that sort of is an initial weed out of people that just aren't in my price range, which is fine. There's somebody for everybody. And then I meet with them. I do Google Meets. I do Google Meets at 8:15 p.m. After my kids go to sleep. But I actually have found that a lot of my brides like that.
It's a good time,
just because your day's over, you don't have things to like plan around. So we meet, see how we like vibe, and then I send out a contract and go from there.
And I'm curious because I have a process. I feel like I've really, over the years, refined almost like my pitch, right? And I think for me, I always try to build a rapport. I don't even talk. And also my pricing is on my website also because like, you know, I don't want people to be surprised by it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it.
Definitely like people will ask, but I'm like, everything's on the website. You know, you can see everything there. But so when I talk to couples, I always build a rapport, and I have specific questions that I ask that I think gets couples excited. And then after that, I have a couple questions to kind of catch them off guard, to kind of break the ice. Do you have anything like that?
Yes and no. So I, my day job, I'm a counselor. So I do school counseling. I work with high school students. I work with their parents. You know, I have a psychology degree. I have an advanced counseling degree. So I have found that it's usually best for me to go into it kind of loose and just sort of read the room, if that makes sense. Because I have found that I can get awkward just like personally if I'm like, this is my method, this is like my process, these are the questions I ask, and it doesn't like work, then it would really throw me off. You know what I mean? So for me, it's easier to just kind of like see what happens and go from there. But I do know that I have some planner peers that do that have like a very specific couple of questions they ask to like get prepared and get the conversation flowing, but I kind of just like read the room. Okay.
So let's talk about, obviously you do many events, you work with hundreds of vendors. What are some experiences where that just are frustrating from a planner's point of view, not with your couple, but with vendors?
100% answer your email. Answer your email. I don't understand. I truly and honestly, that's like the biggest complaint that I get from brides is my DJ's not responding to me. My photographer's not responding to me. I'm starting to get worried. Do you think they're going to show up? Like they're not responding. And answer your emails.
We're going to put that on the screen right now. Answer your emails.
Please. So for me, and I know this isn't good work-life balance, but like I get so nervous if I don't answer within like, especially for like a new inquiry or things like that, because the wedding world, it goes fast. Like everything is fast. If you're not quick on the draw, they're finding somebody else. So I have, you know, that thing in me that I'm like, I gotta hurry up and answer. And I don't know if maybe people have that and they book and then they're like, they're booked. I don't need to like worry.
They're locked in.
So I can not answer their emails, but I don't know.
It's crazy. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've been a little guilty of it, but like I try to stay on top of it. But especially now, because we have like 5 active DJs now, and I need to figure something better out. But I'm pretty much managing everything.
Yeah.
And then I'll give the DJs timelines and music and everything, and then they take it from there. But yeah.
I don't know. Even having like one of those auto response, just being like, "Hey, it's busy season.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to you, I promise." But like, I received it.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know. Just acknowledge. Yeah.
I don't know, but that honestly is like the number one frustrator for me is like I need everyone's information, and I need it when I need it.
Timely manner,
you know, because I'm trying to make the timelines, and then for example, like you might be reaching out to me being like, "When's the photographer doing this?" And I'm gonna be like, "I don't know," because they don't answer their emails. So then I have to chase everybody down, and I have to, you know, I never want to be a burden in your life. Like I'm here to make my vendors' lives easier as well as my clients' lives easier. So I want to be.
You need to have all the information.
Right. Yeah. And I want to be a positive force in everyone's like day and their workflow. And I'm trying to make it easier for you. So I don't want to have to be like, hello.
Yeah.
But, you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But anyways, answer your emails.
What about, all right, let's talk about day of. And what does that look like for you typically on a wedding day? Like, are you getting there before noon as a DJ? Pretty much always arriving between 2 to 1 p.m., depending on ceremony time. But as a planner, are you there like when makeup vendors are arriving at 5, 6 a.m.?
No. Okay. So those are, I usually like in the planning process. Okay. You know, I try to make sure that there's most of the makeup artists that I work with and that I recommend, they all do a really great job of making their time frame scheduled because some things that some people don't realize is like hair and makeup, it's really important to have a schedule because it's, you know, maybe 2 artists working on 6 people, but we have to make sure that if I do hair, makeup, and, you know, I can't be getting hair and makeup done at the same time, and you have to make sure that people do it in the right order, so just in case hair takes a little bit longer, they're not next for makeup, and it's, you know, kind of a dance. So it's really important that your hair and makeup artist makes a schedule for you so that there's no issues day of and everything moves super smoothly. But everyone that I work with does a really great job of doing that and like building in extra time, making sure everything's going to go smoothly. But
and I'm sure these are things that couples will not even think of. They need to think about.
Why would you think about it? Like, how would you know to think about it?
And it's exactly why you hire someone like Maddie, right? There's so many couples that are like, oh, you know, we can do it ourselves, which you can, but I think you're putting a lot of pressure not only on yourself but potentially family because now they need to potentially manage things.
Yeah.
And putting a lot on your vendors because they're already doing a lot, like your photographer, DJ, like they're already worrying about lighting, music selection, having everything ready for cocktail ceremony, reception, and on top of that, you know, timeline. And
it's a lot.
Yeah.
But anyways, to answer your actual question, I get there usually my contract's for 10 hours and we add on hours if needed, but it's like very uncommon that you need more than 10 hours. But I'm there for all of the setup and then all of the breakdown at the end. So usually in our area, weddings end like 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there. So usually I'm arriving around noon because I have that 10-hour like block.
Okay. So now let's talk about day of the wedding, things that have come up concerning like either a DJ or I can't imagine, venue potentially, like has a venue ever been like, oh, something happened day of or like anything like that?
I've had hair and makeup cancel the day before. I've had like rental issues, you know, the wrong things show up or something doesn't show up that was supposed to show up and you have to kind of like work on the fly. I've had DJs be late before.
Has it ever been a time where like the DJ completely missed a ceremony or something like that?
Oh no,
okay,
no, oh no, that I would never allow that to happen.
Okay.
I would 100% be on the phone with you
Yeah,
before
yeah.
and be like, Chris, send me somebody because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something needs to happen here.
Yeah.
That is one of the other huge benefits of working with a planner, coordinator, you know, someone that's been established in the community, is that like I have people, and you know, I have Chris who has a team. I have some other people who like have teams. I have a rental guy that I work with all the time, that if I'm like in an emergency, I can be like, yo,
Yeah.
help me. And then, you know, we figure it out at the end. I'm lucky that I haven't been in that situation, that like a DJ didn't show up. But the hair and makeup artist I have twice now had to, like the day before, whatever, before, have to be like, listen, put me on your schedule because we need it.
Yeah.
I had to book a photographer literally the day before an event one time, because their photographer was not a professional and just kind of like dropped off the map, and it made me very uncomfortable. I was like, honestly, I don't think there's any way this person's showing up.
And you didn't hear from them at all?
Nope.
Jeez.
So we didn't officially cancel them. They didn't show up. So
and deposit was paid. Jeez.
But so I was able to help them book a photographer literally the day before, because I know a lot of photographers. I work with a lot of people all the time. I think people like me for the most part.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And, you know, like working with me and want to help me out. So I don't know what you would have done in that situation without a planner.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're carrying all that stress. And the week of a wedding, I think as a couple, there's already so much going on, right? There's family flying in. You're potentially getting small ornaments and things ready, like, right?
Packing
Signs, packing things up, making sure your clothes are fitted, making sure your groomsmen, bridesmaids, they're
all
good to
got
go.
their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. What else is going on week of for couples?
A lot of times families are starting to ask, like, when am I supposed to be there? What am I supposed to do?
Rehearsal dinner, potentially.
Rehearsal dinner stuff. I don't so much do the rehearsal dinner unless that's an add-on service that you could do if you don't want to worry about
extra
that.
day,
I do run the rehearsal, so I will be there like pre-dinner to make sure everyone knows where to walk, how to walk.
Do you feel like that's a little like unnecessary? No? Okay. Because I feel like most people go to weddings, they kind of know, you know what I mean? But okay. Because I've thought about that. Okay.
So I mean, I don't like charge extra for it. It's part of the package. But I find it very important. So there are a couple of things that people don't realize, and a couple things that really help your photos look nice. And some of the processes, like when to pass off your flowers, when's the best time for your maid of honor to like fix your dress, and how to pass them off, and how to make everything like flow really nicely. I have all the guys do, you know, have the right hand, the left over right, and so it's all like it looks nice.
It's all for
people
ceremony.
all doing different things with their hands, you know. And the girls, it looks much nicer in pictures to have your flowers really low. But that's not your natural inclination. Like, people don't do that. They need to be told. And you can really tell the difference in pictures that people look more relaxed. They look comfortable, like they want to be there, when their flowers aren't like this. So high up. So.
Jeez. So this sounds like this is for photos, right?
Yeah.
And maybe ceremony?
For the ceremony. Yeah, it's for the ceremony.
Okay.
For like how they're standing up there.
Let's talk about ceremony. Is there anything that kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, kind of gives you the ick from vendors potentially? Like for me, I low-key can't stand it where like the officiant stays for the first kiss.
I always tell them to move. So that's another good thing to be at the rehearsal. You know, I always tell them to move out of the way.
But I always tell every officiant when I'm getting them ready, I'm like, sir, grab the mic stand.
Oh, yeah, if there's a mic stand.
And like
make sure
roll.
you move the mic stand too.
And there's guys that are officiants that will stay there, and I just think you don't get the best pictures as a couple, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's become very common that people use their friends as their officiants, so people who've never done it before. So that's another reason why it's really important for you to have someone running your rehearsal, especially if you have, you know, your best friend running your wedding, which is awesome usually, because usually people make really great choices and they pick people who like have a great way about them and love you. Obviously, you're not going to ask someone to do your wedding that isn't like important to you. So I think it's a really awesome thing.
I think when I get married, I'll try to have a friend.
Yeah.
I have to get them like.
And then you don't have to pay for an officiant.
True, yeah.
But it's, you know, they don't know what they're doing, which is fine.
Yeah. No, but it's cool to have someone who you've known for a long time and like they can make it very relatable ceremony and like kind of go off the script a little bit.
Well, I don't like that, but I like planned.
Yeah. Well, definitely a script. But
yeah. Especially guys. Sorry, no offense. But guys can kind of go and go and go and go. If they go too far off book, it's hard for them to find their way back. Yeah. That's for like best men speeches too. Yeah. It's
I remember the first wedding that we did together was Tanya.
Yeah.
Right? That was like Sugarloaf Mountain.
Sugarloaf Mountain.
Beautiful mansion, beautiful setting, very like just private. It was nice. And I remember, I think we had a violinist for that ceremony. And if I remember correctly, when the bride was coming out, her stuff, everything turned off. And I ran to to try to maybe me play something. And once I got to my stuff, like her stuff came back on. But that was like a chaotic moment.
Yeah, there's a lot of those little chaotic moments. And sometimes there's nothing you can do, you know? Like, I just had a wedding where it was really windy and the DJ's
mic?
The stuff was just like giving a lot of feedback. It was just kind of like bopping in and out. And I think it was because of the wind. But what do you do? Yeah. I mean, like, so sometimes there are things that are just outside of your control. But for the most part, as long as you plan appropriately, hire good vendors, those things aren't going to happen.
Yeah. And as a DJ, like, we know better. There's solutions for a lot of those things, like wind, you know, having a wind protector on your mic. Do you have a preference, like lapel versus handheld?
I like the lapel mics. I mean, I'm not a like sound person, but I don't know.
Just a cleaner look, cleaner for photos.
But for the look, just how it looks. I prefer the lapel mic so you don't have the stands.
Also get frustrated when I will give a mic to the officiant and he's like, yeah, I'll hand it to the bride and groom during their vows, and it doesn't get handed.
Right, and then they just like hold it right here.
Either that or we just can't hear vows.
Yeah. And then that's one of those things that you just like, we practice, we talk about it, we do our best, and sometimes you just don't have control because what are you supposed to do? Like hop up there and be like, sir.
I want to.
But you can't. And that actually reminds me of a wedding where the photographer stopped the ceremony as they were exchanging rings. He literally was like, wait, and like moved something around to take a like close-up picture. I had to leave. Ooh. I had to walk out of the space. I like could not control myself. I literally had to remove myself from the situation because I was like, that is horrible.
Jeez, yeah,
do not stop the ceremony for anything ever. Don't do that.
He was like, I'm going to speak now and not hold my peace.
I'm not holding my peace. No, sir. I'm getting that ring shot. No. If you're not in the right spot, you're not in the right spot, my friend. Like, no. Do not say, please hold on.
Have you ever seen some tussles between like videography and photography at ceremony?
Yeah. I feel like that's the most contentious relationship usually on a wedding day. And I think that's something that couples should take into account when hiring. If video is very, very important to you, hire your videographer first and then ask them, what photographers do you recommend? If photography is more important to you, hire your photographer first and then ask them, who do you like to work with? I work with a lot of people and I kind of know. So I know if we hire this photographer, let's look at these videographers because they like each other, they're friends. I know it's going to go well.
Yeah.
But they are standing next to each other trying to achieve a very similar but different goal throughout the entire wedding day. And if they don't know each other, if they don't know their workflow, if they don't like each other, it can just be difficult, and you might not get what you were expecting to get from one or both of those vendors. It's a thing that people definitely don't think about unless they're in the industry, is that those two really need to like each other.
Yeah. Because I've done videography for maybe 2 weddings, and it's stressful, especially during first dance, ceremony, like those big moments. It's like you're trying to almost get the same angle.
Right. You kind of need to be in the same space.
The space is very tight, especially during the aisle, and you don't want to be in each other's shots. That's the worst.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely had photographers like rip videographers out of the aisle before. Not in a way that guests or really anybody
but there's
noticed.
Pressure on both.
Right, because they're both trying to achieve a similar but different goal.
And these are moments that cannot be redone.
Right.
I think that's the biggest pressure. They're both getting paid a lot of money to capture these moments. And that's a good point, though. I've never thought about that. Just like from a planner to a couple, I know who works well together.
Right.
Yeah. And you've seen some tussles. So.
Yeah. I've literally seen them like, get out of my way. Because they need to get the first kiss. They need to get it. So most photographers know that they need to have like a powwow with the videographer before we start. Like at the very beginning of the day, let's chat. What's your flow like? How do you work? Who's going to get shot priority? Who's going to style? Who's going to blah, blah, blah. And those are usually like a higher quality vendor. That's on a new photographer. That's someone who knows what they're doing, knows that this is a problem, knows that this is something that they need to address. And usually it goes fine if you're hiring high quality vendors.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of vendors, and this is something that I've heard when I ask people, like I mentioned earlier, I don't see a lot of other DJs perform. And some of the feedback I've gotten is that some other DJs make it about them a lot.
Oh my gosh. I think I've told you that.
And can you elaborate on that? Like, what does that mean?
Like, we're not here for you.
So,
we're not here for you.
Okay.
Like,
but what do they do?
They just, okay. One, I cannot stand the like, burr, burr, burr. Like, I can't stand it. If you're like doing that every time before you talk, get out.
That's like Craigslist vibes. Like,
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. It drives me nuts. But there are not a lot. There are some DJs that they have to just like put their 2 cents into everything. They're like making comments on everything. They're like interrupting the music a lot to like talk. I don't know. And they kind of make it about them a little. Or they're like, I don't know. There are definitely some times where DJs do make it about themselves, and it feels weird.
A little tacky.
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Because I feel like maybe I'm biased because I DJ weddings, but I feel like entertainment is such a huge part. I won't say the most important, but
I think
it's up there.
For a DJ. You want an entertaining DJ.
Yeah.
I have recently had a couple experiences with some less than fun DJs. I think the wedding industry is like constantly evolving, and it changes a lot, and like what our clients are expecting is different, and weddings are becoming much less like traditional. Less buttoned up, more like trying to show the clients like individuality, and everyone's posting stuff on social media, which is awesome, and really just trying to have fun with their friends instead of like
super formal, super traditional.
Right. And I don't know if it's different in other areas, but that's how it's like
I've seen that a lot
in
too.
our area. And I think that the like traditional wedding DJ is what's kind of like moving out, that it's like, line dances, and line dances can be great. Like line dances, depending on the environment, depending on like how things are going, line dances can be utilized well. Not 7
back to back.
But you know, like if it's like we're all gonna stop what we're doing and do that, and like just very traditional, very buttoned up, very like this is what's happening next, like sort of the traditional wedding DJ, I feel like is kind of a little on the lame-o side now. We need a little more zhuzh. We need some vibes.
Do you feel like there should be an age limit to DJs?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. I think that anyone in the wedding industry, so I was thinking about this for myself. Like, when am I going to have to stop? When am I going to have to, like, when am I no longer going to be able to relate to my brides? When am I no longer going to be able to, like, you know, do what I'm doing effectively? Yeah. And I've been thinking about that. And I think the answer is never, as long as you're open to change and you keep up with the times. So I work with high schoolers on a regular basis, so I'm not in no way saying I'm like hip or cool or anything like that, but I think it's a little easier for me to keep up with like what's important to younger people, just because I work with them every day. So, and that's going to be for a long time that I'm going to be working with young people. So I think as long as you're not set in your ways, did you see that like trending TikTok thing about the like 75-year-old DJ with his CDs?
Oh yeah.
But I was watching.
It was
that
like
the
she was
other
like
day.
in a nursing home, something like that.
No. He was like he's a straight up DJ. Like he hosts regular weddings. He has this big table with CDs.
Okay.
But he hits it. He like reads the room. He does a good job. He you know, he's a good time. Yeah. So I think that there isn't an age limit. I think there's a mindset limit.
Yeah. I feel like you always just have to be doing the work to be on top of the times. Yeah. And you got to really enjoy it, right? Because I feel like there's DJs that you can tell that they're not listening to new music, right? Like, or
that they're jaded. Yeah. And don't like the industry anymore, but that's their job.
And you can feel that energy.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if that is like contagious to the room. Not really, right? Because people are still there to have a good time and celebrate the couple.
Depends on the...
But it does take away from the energy a little bit, maybe.
I think it can. Yeah. For sure. If there's like, this is the wedding formula. Yeah. And that's what you like stick to. That doesn't work. You have to read the room. You have to see like, what are these people dancing to? Like what's getting people on the floor? What's making this party fun? And again, I'm not a DJ, and I will never claim to be a DJ or like.
But you've been to enough weddings where like you kind of know what will work with certain crowds and stuff like that.
Yeah. And something to think about with that too, as a client, is if you have a huge must play list, and you are trying to sort of dictate what happens at the wedding, it kind of like cripples your DJ. And I'm sure you have more to comment on that, but like, especially if it's like, oh dang, I gotta get all like 17 of these like very specific genre songs in because they're on their must play list, but every time I play them it dies, like the crowd dies.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough because you'll have like a couple who's very young and very edgy with music, but there's a lot of family and older family at the party, so that doesn't mix well, because then it's like you don't have a lot of that young crowd. So then, and I've had one wedding where this bride, she knew the list that she gave me, and I tried to play a few songs outside that list, and she would give me the death stare.
Oh my gosh, if you played something else.
Yeah.
So I don't
she would
know.
look at her husband, and she's like, that wasn't on the list. That happened once, and I was okay with it, you know what I mean? But it was very edgy music, and this was like a Polish.
So like Grandma and Aunt Trish were like not vibing.
Yeah, they're like, can you please Frank Sinatra? I'm like,
oh, well, not during the party though.
Yeah, but like a lot of her music was more like EDM vibes, and like the older family, it's like, they want a little more traditional kind of throwback stuff.
Yeah, and I think some of that's important, but. But at the end of the day, we're there for our clients. So like, if your client doesn't care if people are dancing. They want to listen to this, this, and this. Then that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, that's totally cool.
Yep.
But if your goal is to have a really fun party, giving your DJ leash and wiggle room and ability to read the room and check the vibes and do what makes the most sense is like what you want.
Yeah. In your experience, what would you say is like a recipe for a great reception?
Kind of like a build up, right? Like you don't want to hit the ground like totally hardcore unless you have like a crazy young crowd. There's like not a lot of family. It's mostly their friend. They're clearly all like gearing to go. Like sometimes you can tell that they're all like chomping at the bit. Like, when are we gonna dance? I think then you can kind of just like go and go.
Yeah.
But if it's like, for me, I have noticed that like kind of starting out with like a pretty traditional, it's a dancey song for sure. It's like good to go, but it's not like hitting every bass beat like super hard. Yeah. And then you can read the room, right? And figure out like, where do I want to go? How far do I want to amp it up? And I don't know. I think having experienced DJs is just like the way to go.
And as a planner, what are elements or add-ons that you get excited to see that are going to be in this party?
I love add-ons. So I think that if you have the budget, and not everybody does, but I have some clients that are like, our wedding is what's important to us. We want to do it all. We want to have fun. We want to like, I'm not really necessarily worried about how much things cost. Like, I just want to do the fun stuff. All of it's cool. Like things people love, like the wavy light up things. People love those. They're like at every wedding that I do now. Sunglasses, things you can throw at people. If you want to throw t-shirts, if you want to like do stuff like that. I think photo booths are fun and guests really like
Do you feel like they're still like, you don't feel like they're a little overdone or like?
I think they're kind of like expected a little bit, but I still find that people enjoy them. Younger crowds like them, especially if, as long as there's a good amount of alcohol involved. People like having something to do. But I really like a late night snack or like a surprise ice cream truck or something like that kind of like breaks it up a little bit, but is fun. Yeah.
I think when we did that wedding in July last year at Citizens Ballroom, I think they threw like burgers from the stairs.
They threw cheeseburgers. Yeah, Ashley, that was the best. That was so fun. I really loved that whole wedding.
Cool moments,
Excuse me.
No, you're good.
Yeah, they threw cheeseburgers from like the upper stairs at their guests, and it was amazing.
I get excited at stuff like that, or like I've had weddings where they have like Chick-fil-A sandwiches. That gets me excited.
Yeah. We have one coming up together that we're gonna have Pizza Hut just like deliver a bunch of pizzas like late at night.
What is that one?
New Year's.
That's good.
Because it's so late. I was like, girl, we have to feed these guys. Like, we have to feed them again. Like,
do you feel any way about that? Like a wedding on New Year's? Well,
this is my first one, actually.
Okay.
This is my first one that I've ever taken.
Because I feel it's my first one also, and I'm just like, we're gonna do a countdown for sure.
Oh yeah. I think you have to. Yeah. I don't think there's any way around it.
Yeah, and I haven't even checked what time we're going. Like 1 or 2 a.m.
We're going until 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's gonna be fun though, because it's like normally, so for weddings sometimes it starts to like the energy, older family
fades
leaves.
A little, yeah.
But it's New Year, so you kind of have to stay.
Oh yeah, everyone's gonna be vibing the whole night. It starts later. We're starting later, so it's not like they're going from 3 p.m. until 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. But so we're starting a little later. But I think it's gonna be fun. We do have security planned. Heavily recommend Citizens Ballroom Brides. Yeah. Just because you're like right on the main drag, especially something like New Year's Eve when everyone's gonna be dressed up anyways. It'd be really hard to tell if someone was coming in that wasn't supposed to be there. I recommend security to my Citizens Ballroom Brides. We had it at Ashley's too.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's not something I guess because it just, especially a venue like that, so many windows, you can tell people are having a good time. It looks crazy.
Oh, yeah. They frosted it, though, so I'm kind of glad they did that. But they'll be, New Year's Eve, they're going to be able to tell. People are going to be trying
It's probably going to be packed. Yeah, Frederick's downtown.
Yeah. It's going to be a blast.
So let's talk about situations that have happened during the reception where, had you not been there, would have been a disaster.
During the reception?
Yeah, if any, with either maybe a vendor or, things not arriving or like.
So, well, usually during reception, things have arrived. Like that would already have been pretty much dealt with. But I think the biggest things that sometimes come up that it's really good to have someone there is if you have vendors who are maybe like a little jaded in the industry, been doing it a little too long and maybe don't like it that much anymore, and aren't. So as a wedding vendor, I think it's extremely important to constantly and consistently remind yourself that, like, one, these people don't go to weddings every weekend.
True, yeah.
So we sometimes are like, how can you make this decision? How can you do something like this? How can you, et cetera, et cetera? How can you not know that, like, that's not cool or, like, something that doesn't make sense? But we go to weddings every weekend, all the time. Yeah. And we are intimately involved in a lot of the details. Yeah. They are not. So I think as a wedding vendor, it's just really important to go into every event as, like, this is obviously the most important day in these people's lives, in potentially their families' lives. Sometimes it's only kids or whatever. Like, this is their parents' only chance to, like, have whatever. Like, it's their child and their family and their friends, and they're all there to celebrate, and it's a big deal. It's a lot of money that they're spending. Yeah. And we have to act appropriately. Yeah. Yes, this is our job. Yes, we should be treated as human beings, and I have some thoughts on that as well. You're a person, and you should be treated as a person, but we are in a service industry. We are here to serve. We are here to make this event amazing for our clients. And there are times that I think people forget. Yeah. That at the end of the day, sometimes we may have to do something we don't really want to do or be a little uncomfortable to make sure that our clients are having the absolute best experience that they can have. Yeah. So there have been times that I've had to remind people that, like, we're here for them. Yeah. They paid you a lot of money. Yeah. Like, as long as you're not being mistreated or harassed or, you're a person. Yeah. And I am a heavy advocate for my vendors. Like, I always want to try to protect you guys. I want to make sure you guys get fed. I want to make sure you're being treated appropriately. I want to sort of take on some of those belligerent guest kind of things that maybe are unreasonable and you don't need to eat because you have a job to do. So I try my best, but sometimes things happen and you got to just deal with it. Yeah. And I've had some DJs specifically, I don't know why, it's sort of DJ, I guess, because DJs are really, that's your time. Yeah. Like, the reception is, you're kind of like the star of the show. Yeah. But
even then, there's a way to, like, be kind of behind the scenes kind of.
But I just mean, like, that's when your, like, big part of your job is happening, for sure. Right? So you're kind of, like, in the spotlight as far as vendor for reception. So that's, I guess that's why usually in that time frame, it's the DJs that are causing some issues for me. But sometimes I just have to remind them that, like, we're here to do a job. We got to do it. Even if it doesn't make sense to you. I've had some DJs get mad because the bride wants them to play something very specific and it doesn't make sense. And it's going to make me look like I'm not good at my job. People aren't dancing to this kind of thing. Yeah. I don't want to play that music. Too bad.
That's great. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. At that point, it's like literally your bride is the highest say.
Yeah. If she doesn't care if people are dancing, she wants to hear this song. Yeah. You play it.
During my introductions, a lot of times I'll kind of try to build a rapport, and I'll tell couples, like, if at any point you guys have something you want to hear, come on up and let me know. And there's brides who will say, Chris, please do not take any requests. and they'll come up to me after I say that, and I kind of got to play it off. I kind of got to be like the bad guy almost, but it's for our couples.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we want to make them happy.
Yeah.
So I'll tell guests, Wi-Fi is not working. Like,
oh, can't look it up. Sorry.
Don't have that song.
Yeah,
sorry.
And like to a degree, that could make you look like you don't know what you're doing, but like that's not the case. You're protecting your bride and or couple, and you are creating an environment that they want, that they asked you for.
Yeah.
So that's what we're there for.
Yeah. Yeah. Because honestly, like looking back at it, I think in hindsight, wedding days come and go so quickly.
It's so fast.
And so like every song counts. If your couple wants you to play something right now, it's because they have that friend that will take them back to that moment. You know what I mean? Or
they're about to leave or whatever.
Yep.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
So especially at a wedding, like number one for our couples. Yeah. And I think thinking about what makes an awesome reception as a DJ, there's some things like I want to be on the dance floor. I want to be on a side of the dance floor. I want the venue lighting to be off. I want to make sure I have good lighting for the dance floor. I want to have up lighting. Some of our packages don't have up lighting, and I'm just like, but I think, how do you feel about those things? Like, do you think those things add on?
I think it really sets the tone.
Yeah.
I think it helps to set the tone. I think there are a couple venues in our area that like the lights literally just can't get low enough, and it's kind of frustrating.
Yes.
Because people lose their inhibition a little bit more when it's darker and are more willing to just like go all out and have fun and dance, and it creates like a better environment. But having those, the lights and the fun and being able to read the room, I totally agree, and I tell all my clients that if there's an option for the DJ to be like up and away, don't do it. Like unless it's like very absolute worst case last scenario, like you have to have that extra table and we just physically cannot fit the DJ.
Yeah.
Then okay, but if we can make it work, we need to make it work.
Yeah.
Because you guys do so much of a better job being like
when we can connect with people, when we can look people in the eye, when we can when a guest on the dance floor looks at us, they're like, they were like, it's like it just adds to the energy.
It creates so much more fun. Yeah, it's way better for you guys.
There's some venues where like I always have to be on top by myself.
I don't like that.
And I just feel so disconnected. And sometimes I'll just bring my binoculars and I'm up there. I'm just like
you really have binoculars.
Yeah. I don't know. Some venues are just like really far from the dance floor, but I bring them as a joke, But yeah, definitely to be on the dance floor, to be connected with guests, to be able to pull your bride quickly and hype everyone up, and like your bride is DJing, your groom is DJing, like hype up the crowd. Like
and some DJs are like very adamantly against like letting their clients come behind and like be involved, and it's like we're here to have fun, guys.
Yeah.
Like especially the DJ. Like
give
you
them
guys
the
are
experience.
The fun. Like you guys are the fun.
Yeah.
We're here to have fun.
I think it's tough to be an uptight DJ. Like I think a good DJ, like, man, let your couples have fun. Let them get the experience. Let them feel what it's like to be behind the DJ booth.
100%.
Yeah.
As long as they're not like there the whole night and like ruining stuff.
Oh no.
Like,
as long as they're not like falling over the equipment, bringing drinks and all that. But
yeah, and I feel like later in the day, the biggest things that I struggle with is actually getting vendors fed. That's the fight that I'm usually fighting. So that's not so much client focused as like it's vendor experience.
It's kind of crazy that like caterers don't have like a thing figured out, right?
I don't get it.
It's like at this point,
I don't get it. And usually the fight, like the argument is we want to make sure there's enough for the guests.
Okay.
Get it. 100%.
Has there ever been a time where their stuff ran out?
But like, okay, I don't, anyways, I want to stay positive, but so caterers, 99% of the time ask you for a vendor count, ask their clients for a vendor count, right? So we're paying for our guest count, for their meals, We know what to order. We know ahead of time how many guests there are going to be. And then they say, how many vendors do we need to feed? And then they charge them. So, you know, sometimes it's not charged the same because sometimes we get fed weird stuff, like weird other stuff or whatever. Pasta that's been frozen for a year or whatever they're feeding us. But they have been charged for that. So to me, it should have been included in the count. And all caterers, they bring extra and they feed their staff. So there should always be extra. Again, I'm not a caterer. I'm not an orderer. I don't know how all that goes 100%. But like, if you're charging my client to feed my team, you're feeding them. And it doesn't make sense to wait until all the guests have been fed because, again, 99% of the time, you got to go.
We got to keep the show moving.
You got to be going. Yeah. The DJ needs to be DJing. Yeah. The photographer needs to be photographing. The videographer needs to be videoing. And I need to be making people get where they're supposed to be. For introductions, we're lining people up. Or speeches, you know, getting the best man and the maid of honor, like, ready, telling the parents that it's going to be their turn. Managing alcohol intake if necessary before all of that stuff happens. We need to be working. So the vendors should get fed right after the bride and groom. And I know that seems weird. It's not like we're the most important people. It's not like we're trying to steal from the guests. It's not like we're thinking we're more important than her parents. It's just strictly logistical. Like,
logistical,
we have to work as soon as the vendors are done. So the time that the bride and groom are eating, because we don't need photos, we're not dancing, we're not doing things, I'm making sure they're eating. And that's the only time that we're not working. So like, that needs to be when we're eating. So I don't necessarily understand why in our area specifically that's sort of the standard and we have to fight to eat.
Did you hear the story about like a photographer who wasn't fed and deleted all the photos? It's insane. But like, I mean, I think there's vendors that are like, I must be fed.
Yeah, there are.
But for me, I always appreciate being fed, but it's never I'm never gonna like stop or like, you know, never gonna like.
I agree. No, I mean, and me too. If I don't get fed, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to keep going.
Exactly,
I prepare. I bring snacks. I like know that this is a problem and that this is a thing that happens. And sometimes they're like, we don't have enough. And I would rather my assistant get fed than me get fed. You know what I mean? But that's just the kind of person that I am. But you are a person. You are a human being that is working a large amount of hours and you should eat. And I don't think it's outrageous to have an expectation of being able to eat. You know, everyone in their 9-to-5 job, they get a lunch break. You're supposed to eat. You are a person.
I work with other agencies who it's like super professional. And it's almost like, Chris, you are talent. You should not be like in between guests or like mingling with guests. It should be like that's why you have a green room. You know, you are fed before your event. You should not be eating during the event. It's like very like, it feels like a high end or something. But
well, part of that I kind of agree. I don't want to eat in front of people. I mean, I want to be sort of like away if I'm eating. I don't really necessarily like people to see that I'm not working. I think it's good to exude the image of I'm always there, I'm always ready, but like, you have to eat. So I do I mean, like, I know there's a lot of DJs that eat at their tables, and I think that's fine. As long as you're not like, you know, working, eating, like all over the place. Like, if you're sitting and taking your time to eat, then that's fine. So you can like manage your stuff. But I mean, you're a human.
Is there anything that during a wedding, you know, and obviously we won't mention names here, but like, I guess icks that, or any bridezilla situations or like, or things that people don't recognize or appreciate enough that a planner puts into a celebration?
So, moms, managing moms is almost like a full-time job. So, and I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. And for some reason, a lot of the issues that I have are actually the groom's moms. And as a boy mom myself, I wonder if it's just because, like, you know, weddings are very bride focused. And so sometimes they're like trying to pull some of that energy back towards like their family and their child, you know. And so maybe that's where the energy comes from. I guess I can see that and appreciate that a little bit, but like I do a lot of mom expectation. And I think my clients have all been just wonderful. I haven't had too many issues except for maybe in like the beginning of my career that I was just taking anything and everything because I wanted to work and I wanted to do weddings, but now I can be a little more careful about the contracts that I take on. So that I know that our energies match and it makes sense for us. So my brides, I haven't really had issues with. Okay. Sometimes bridal party, because, you know, I didn't meet them beforehand.
True, yeah.
And moms are sometimes the issue. But usually because I have such a good rapport with my bride, it's easy to manage because I actually have a question in my month out questionnaire about, like, you know, how do we want to manage mom? How, like, what's the best way to move forward? What's your relationship like? Because to me, it's really important. So my like hierarchy is bride and groom or couple, their parents, the vendors, and then everybody else. Got it. And part of that, the vendor part, I think maybe some people might not agree with, but like I think it's so important that we work as a team. So to me, like having you guys very high on my priority level is important. But so it's the couple and then it's the moms. I always make sure that I'm like checking in. Do you need water? Can I get you a drink? Can I like help you with anything? How's it going?
And that's so appreciated.
You know, so that's how I usually do the best of making sure that everyone's good and feels taken care of and feels like a little more luxurious. Like you're sort of a VIP that I'm doing check-ins. Not so much that I'm like affecting your night, but like just doing quick like, hey, are you like,
and that's so nice.
Like, can I get something for you?
And that makes such a huge difference. And that's like, those are the people we want to work with. You know, just we want to feel like we are taken care of, you know, not like we have a butler at all, not that, but just that, you know, if we can't step away from our booth for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah, like sometimes you need some water.
Yeah. And like you cannot get through the room because it's packed. You know, you don't have an assistant sometimes. It's nice to just have someone just check in, you know?
Yeah. And like sometimes, so I am a flexible timeline person for reception specifically. Yeah. So ceremony is happening on time. That is a big thing for me. I usually start like right on time. The only time that ceremony starts late is if like the bus didn't show up, half our guests aren't there. It's clear that there's going to be too many people coming in late. Then I'll like, you know, do 5-minute increments of like, let's get some people seated.
I had a ceremony this weekend on Sunday and the officiant got into a car accident. Oh, no. So our ceremony started about half an hour late. And for like 20 minutes, we did not know the condition of the officiant. We were like, he's not picking up.
Was there a planner?
There was a planner. She was stressed. I mean, it was completely out of our hands, obviously, right?
Yeah, but for sure. Yeah, and then if the couple's like, we're obviously waiting, then we're obviously waiting. Yeah. But like, as long as things are going the way they're going, I'm starting ceremony on time. But then the reception stuff, I usually put in there like, we're gonna cut the cake at 8:30. But I'll come talk to you and be like, what do you think? Like, how's the vibe? Do you not want to stop? Because I know sometimes you guys like really get into like a good flow. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not trying to break this. Like, I want to keep it going. And I get that. I'm cool with that. So I'm good to just adjust. So I try to make sure I'm always like, you know, checking in with all of the vendors just to make sure, like, how do you feel? Do you want to cut the cake? When's the photographer about to leave? So we can make sure we get those photos that we need, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I try to just make it a team effort.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I think even me, like, there's been times where I work with a photographer and they'll say, Chris, can you please turn off all of your lighting? And I think that's a little excessive, but I'm like, you know what? It's a team sport. So in order for this person to get the best photos for our client, let me, turn off this lighting. So,
but like forever, or to get a couple shots?
Just for like entrances or something.
Yeah, whatever.
Or
do
like,
what makes sense.
Yeah, for like first dance, she's like, oh, the hue of the light, it affects my whatever. I'm like,
team sport. I agree. 100%.
Team sport.
It's a team sport.
Yeah.
Just do it.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, especially like as a vendor, it's just better when you're kind to other vendors.
Way.
Because everyone is stressed out. Everyone's trying to do their best job and work with people as opposed to against people, especially vendors.
Yeah, because and also we refer.
Yeah.
Our clients are asking. I mean, obviously, as a planner, I have started telling my brides that like there's a big benefit to working with a planner because like I am the keeper of the brides, right? Like if I don't like you, I'm not gonna tell them to book you.
Yeah.
So like there is a big degree of we all need to be kind to each other. And work together well and do our best so that I can be like, when they're like, oh, I'm thinking about booking gold, I can be like, hell yeah, book them. And they're like, do I need to meet with them? No, just book them. Like seriously, we're good.
Yeah.
So, then I can do that because I trust you and I know that you're going to provide a good service, et cetera, and that I'm going to enjoy working with you because I don't want to work with people.
You already know what the vibes are going to be. You already know that we're not all night long.
I cannot.
Yeah.
Or the like glass shattering one.
Oh, man. Oh, it's crazy. Those should be banned.
They should be banned. Why do they exist?
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Sheesh.
But yeah, working well together is super important as a vendor.
Yeah. And I think it's important to compromise, right? As a vendor, like, if a vendor's asking something of you, like, we're working together here. Like you said, it's not about the vendor. It's literally about the couple.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it though, like especially the world that we live in now, the industry, like how things are changing. Reviews are like gold. Like reviews are
no pun intended.
Are so important. I mean, like if you have one shitty review, I think you're done. Like. So I know that that's kind of in the back of everyone's mind. Like I need to provide the best service that I can because like obviously I'm seeing all the behind the scenes and maybe I think you're a jerk, but like maybe the client doesn't, so like to a degree, we all are working for ourselves and we want a positive review. We want to make sure that we're providing the service that is expected of us. And so no one wants to do something wrong or like take away or something that they're not supposed to do for a client because it could reflect badly on them. Yeah. Even though grand scheme, it was like to make the whole event run well. Yeah. The bride may not see that. And so I can see that being in the back of everyone's mind. For example, I had a wedding where the bride self-dyed, did a whole DIY of these like really beautiful centerpieces. She dyed the fabric to like this very specific color that she wanted. She had ordered napkins from the caterer, and the expectation was that they were going to do the waterfall fold, and there was a cookie that we were putting on top of the napkins. They started putting the napkins out, and it looked horrible.
On the day of the wedding?
It looked horrible. I mean, the colors did not match at all. It was horrible. And I was like, guys, I mean, she put so much effort into these centerpieces. She dyed this, the very specific color she wanted. She's so proud of them. We are not putting these napkins on this table. Like, we're not. But they are like, this isn't our contract. This is what's expected of us. This is what we're doing. And I'm like, no, I will take the bullet. I don't care. Tell her it was my fault. If they come back to you at the end of the day and they're like, why in the world were the napkins not on the table? I will deal with it because it looks horrible. They were completely clashing tones. It totally took away from all. She made those cookies. She like self-made. Those those like sugar cookies.
Yeah.
They were custom. She made them. I mean, she put so much effort into the vision. And so I was like, absolutely no. Absolutely no. And I had to fight with them for a while because they were like, we have to fulfill our contract. Like, we're not going to get a bad review because you think it's ugly. And I'm like, no.
Jeez.
No. So I was able to make that happen because I was like, listen, I will take that. And I know that she trusts me. We have a good rapport. I know that she's going to be okay with this decision, but I understand wanting to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. So I will take it on myself because I know it's going to be okay.
That's another thing. I think other vendors is like hierarchy is like, I'm also always going to listen to the planner, right? It's like, yes, couple, but like, I know that planner has spent a lot of time talking to the couple. They know, like, I mean, you've helped them pick color, plates, like decor, venue, the vibe, rustic, like you've discussed all that.
Sure.
Even when you make like the things you put on Instagram, I don't know what they're called, like vision boards.
Oh, mood boards.
Mood boards,
yes.
Mood
boards.
Like,
I do make mood boards for all my planning clients, by the way. It's fun.
So it's like, you know, the vibe they're going for. So it's like, in terms of hierarchy, if my planner is like, hey, Chris, we're changing this, or we're doing this, you know, this person's not being introduced, I'm like, yes, ma'am. I'm writing it down.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's a high quality planner, like someone who knows what they're doing.
Yep.
I would never tell you like to do something off of your book if it wasn't the right, like I'm telling you the right right thing.
Because you want everything to go smoothly. So it's like,
and sometimes things change in the moment and they're like, oh no, he's so drunk, he can't do it. Like take him off. And I have to come grab you and be like, all right, take this guy off or whatever. And so to a degree, I'm probably
for the
one
most
that you
part,
should be listening
our planners
to.
have best interest at heart for the most part. Okay. All right. Last thing I kind of want to talk about is just, I feel like you get to see a lot of behind the scenes and everything. As a DJ, I really see nothing.
Right. Yeah. You're stuck. You're kind of chained.
I'm like, I know what my pricing is, and I've kind of seen the market a little bit and see what people offer and provide. I truly try to think about everything in terms of experience. And I think I try to enhance everything. Like as an MC, I try to really present myself like as a kind of like stylish, fashionable, like welcoming, inviting person. And, you know, I try to bring the lighting. I think the lighting and the production complements everything and makes people want to party harder. So, you know, that kind of goes into my production, but pricing. So I've seen venues that are like 30, 40 grand just a venue.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously not to bash anyone because, you know, you get what you pay for.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what people are paying, but like,
sometimes.
I know I reached out to a photographer who I want this person to photograph my wedding. And she mentioned her starting rate is $8,000. And I'm like, whew, like that's some people's venues. Yeah. You know, that's like a down payment on a house sometimes. Yeah. How do you feel about, and also like, I know you've probably heard of the term like the wedding tax, right? And
I don't know that that's a thing anymore.
I think for DJs, if I'm playing a wedding of an event that's not a wedding, much less work, much less planning, much less logistic, much less time to even need to sit down and plan and go over anything. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, weddings are a production. Yeah. Like from start to finish, like a bat mitzvah. I mean, yeah, maybe you do like a little intro or whatever, but like it's just a dinner and a party. A wedding has like so many other things that are added onto it. So it's definitely a different beast altogether. Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing for a lot of vendors is like these moments are happening once. We cannot tell the couple, hey, can you do that first dance one more time? Like, you know, or as a guest, as a couple, you're expecting everything to go without a hitch. You mean, if I told my DJ, I want this song played 42 seconds in, you're expecting that. Yeah. And that should have already been discussed and reviewed. And if you hear a song from the beginning, you're as a couple, you're completely thrown off.
Right.
You know, if you're not working with a correct vendor, you know, or if I'm sure for a photographer, like you've discussed what shots you want. And if your photographer is not taking the lead, like, hey, we need this family, we need that. If you're not like hiring someone with experience, it's, you know, but let's talk about some of these prices because it's crazy, but is it justified?
So yes and no.
Okay.
Okay. So I do my pricing based on, so, okay, hold on. Planning and coordinating is kind of like an isolated field in the wedding industry because it's very direct competition. So like there's not really a good way to like learn and train unless you're like working with another planner to like figure out how it goes. It's very competitive, but I have planner friends. I have planners that I reach out to that we go back and forth that I refer to if I'm booked. I enjoy them. You know, we work together and we have like a good rapport and we aren't afraid to like help each other out because there's, especially in our area, like there's endless weddings.
Oh, there's like, so much room for everyone. So
there's
like,
endless weddings. There's enough room.
Yeah.
Granted, we all like the two women that I'm closest with as other planners, we have very different like styles and approaches and we work in the same very direct area, but like a bride that would book me would maybe not book them, and a bride that would book them would maybe not book them.
Got it. Okay.
So it's, I think, a little easier for us to be very free flowing with our experience and our, you know, because you don't want to like give anyone the keys to the castle. But so we have all tried to sort of coast together well with our pricing because it just hurts us if there's someone doing something similar for like a crap load less money. But with that in mind, you also have to consider that we're giving up our weekends. Myself, I mean, I have a full-time job on top of this and I have little kids. So I have to justify my time, you know, that I'm missing a weekend day with my boys and I have to justify it and I have to make enough money to make it worth it. So some people need more to make it worth it. And I think to a degree you should charge what you want. I think it would really help if people were a little more upfront with their pricing so that it would be easier to realize that like maybe $8,000 isn't normal for our area. But it is for them. And if that's the style you want and that's the person you want to work with, then you have to decide if it's worth $8,000. But it's hard to know, should I keep looking? Because that's not normal. Or is that normal and I should just pay it? Like how many people should you talk to? How many people should you get quotes from? How many people should you know, how do you know? So I do think there's kind of like a basement that really you shouldn't go below. Like for our area, I really think like for a DJ, $1,500. If they're less than $1,500,
sketchy.
Don't book them. Don't book them. They either haven't. I mean, and everyone has to start somewhere. That's not necessarily the most fair thing in the world, you know, to say you need 10 years of experience when you're just starting out. But if you want a high quality event, you want someone who knows what they're doing. So honestly, I think a basement price for a DJ is $1,500. Coordinators, planners, I think there's a basement price. I think when I just started out, I used to charge like nothing, like 800,000, because you think about it like, oh, that's kind of a lot, like per hour. But is it? When it's like weddings are extremely physically demanding. So DJs, coordinators, photographers, videographers, I mean, we all are constantly complaining about our feet and our backs and how tired we are. And there are certain weddings that like you can't even walk the next day. I mean, it's exhausting.
As I'm pushing 30, as I'm getting closer to 30, I'm like,
it's tiring. It's
Yeah.
really very physically demanding. It's hard on your body. It's a long day, and you have to have the right energy all day. You know, you can't be at the end of the night. You can't be like, "Wah," you know, to your client. You still have to be up here. You have to be a high quality energy and
Sharp.
presence.
Yep.
It's hard. So you have to charge what you think that on your body is worth. But there's somebody for everybody.
Yeah.
So an 8K photographer maybe isn't for you.
Yeah. I think there's a market for everyone, especially living so close to DC, right? It's like huge market, luxury vans, New York, right? Like we're in between huge cities. So
yeah. But I think that's a big benefit to working with a planner. So my clients usually have their venue already. And sometimes that can be rough because they're like, I have a $30,000 overall budget and my venue was $11,000. And it's like, I don't know, girl.
Jeez. What's the biggest shock that couples walk into planning a wedding, do you think?
Florals.
Florals. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Florals.
give me a range.
So Pinterest kills it for everyone. Because
Like sets the bar too high?
Oh, way too high. So the stuff that you see on Pinterest is like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 installs, right? It's like all the beautiful stuff on the ceilings, or like the aisle is totally lined with florals, with like big, lush, beautiful florals. The arch is just like huge and lush and wonderful, and it's like that's like $20,000. And so people have these pins, you know, they send me their boards and they're like, this is my vision. I have $3,000 set aside for florals. And I'm like, girl, we got to manage expectations here.
Jeez.
So I do think florals is the biggest shock to the system.
Yeah. Oof. What about like, I feel like florals, and then in terms of expenses, going from highest to lowest for a wedding, would you say venue is number one probably?
So venue and catering are going to be where you spend the most money.
Does catering include alcohol?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But either way, like even if you go to Chipotle and feed 20 people, it's a lot of money. Like it's a lot of money. Yeah. So feeding a lot of people is very expensive, and you want a full service catering staff. Full service. Full service.
We're putting it on the screen. Full
service. You will regret it if you do not have a full service catering staff. But some things to think about when you're booking your caterer are like, are they including rentals? Are they including those, sometimes just a fork is 25 cents, 75 cents. So like for each fork.
It adds up, yeah.
It adds up. So catering is usually a very large expense. Venue is usually a very large expense. But if you blow your budget with your venue, it makes it hard.
I would imagine that a dress is up there. No? Not so much anymore.
No, I don't know. I mean, like you watch TLC and it's like I have $10,000 for my dress. You don't need $10,000 for your dress. So I worked in the bridal gown industry before I started as a wedding planner. And honestly, as long as you go into it eyes wide open and like, you're probably going to be out the door $3K, $4K. I mean, so it's expensive. Yeah. But it's not like 10.
Okay. I've seen this fun trend. I think it's Instagram, where it's like things that your guests don't care about. That as a couple, maybe you're spending a lot of money on, spending a lot of time on, and your couples, your guests it's not a huge thing. Favors, potentially maybe like invitations.
So invitations, I think, are, if you are having a luxury event, you want luxury invitations. If your detail photos are important to you, you want luxury invitations. But usually that's a bigger expense than you were planning. Yeah. But those paper products, they really do like bring it all together. So they make it all seem cohesive. They make your table look beautiful. If you have, those like custom printed menus or escort cards that are really particularly beautiful. So if those like visuals are important to you, it's important. If not, It's really not.
Yeah. Okay. And what are things that you think couples should put more into if they're not, you know what I mean?
I think that the weddings that I have found that people have the most fun at are that they're really infusing like their personality into things.
Yeah.
So some people don't like cake, and so they don't have cake. And like you shouldn't do something you don't like to do. My sister-in-law had these mini apple pies because they don't like cake. And people, so that was 2 years ago. People still talk to me about the pies. Like they loved them.
Yeah.
People ask me for the referral for the lady that had the pies all the time. Like, oh, it was so cool that you guys did that instead of cake, you know? Or they put things into place that are like really, you know, special to them. They like, their favor is very, you know, we met at the coffee bar and we're giving out like a very special blend of coffee or whatever, you know, just trying to put little details into place that are about them. So like we talked about earlier, like weddings are not so traditional anymore. You're able to sort of do things that make sense for you.
Yeah.
So, and I think those are the most fun events.
I think it's cool to make everything your own, right? Like,
and people love food.
Yeah.
People love food. Food add-ons, food trucks, dessert truck at the end, special crepe bar, action stations. People love food.
I think it's cool when you go to a wedding and you are experiencing things that you didn't expect, right? Because if you go to a wedding, you're kind of like, okay, I know what to expect.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be a cake, but if you're like, oh, there's churros instead of a cake, or like there's an
there's
ice cream truck,
Yes.
or there's 3 trucks at the end of the night with different foods.
With all different stuff, and it's fun,
exciting,
and you're
yeah.
a little drunk, and you're super excited.
You're
to
like,
get
I gotta
some
catch my
donuts.
dinner.
Yes, grab some cheeseburgers out of the air.
Yes.
Yeah, having like people love food.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, Maddie, thank you so much for chatting. This was fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And there's so much more that we could talk about, but I think this is good for now. And I'm going to put all her information here on the screen and down below. Check her out. She's incredible. And you work everywhere, like Maryland, DC, Virginia.
Yeah, so it's DMV Weddings and Events. I work in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I'm based out of Frederick, Maryland. So I love working in Frederick. We have a lot of awesome venues in Frederick. So that's kind of like my home base, but I will go anywhere like an hour around Frederick.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.